Hey guys, I'm Frosty. Welcome to FantasyHQ. Alongside Stevo, who you'll meet in the next episode. We're super just excited and stoked to get this idea up off the ground and running. And we're just looking to give the fantasy podcast world a crack. We believe that we have something to add. We're just two Kiwi guys who love the NRL footy and probably love NRL fantasy a little bit too much. And with young families, we probably still let it consume too much of our life. But that's us and that's who we are, and we thought, well, if we're putting that much time into it, hey, why not get involved and try and grow the NRL fantasy community, spread that positivity, spread the messages, and hopefully a wee point of difference for us is we're really striving for short, sharp episodes for you guys. With young families, we've understood that the high school days are past us now, and the hours aren't there in the week to be sifting through episodes and episodes and podcasts. So we're going to try and nail it right down for you guys. Relevant content, interesting content, but well below that hour mark so that you can get what you need, the intel, the insight to make some decisions, just to hear those second and third opinions before making those final ones come Thursday or Friday night. So this first episode, looking to set that tone. It's just myself. I'll be introducing my team, where I'm at so far. 16 rounds in, and the end of the bye schedule just about upon us. So, Burton's boys, beloved Dogs fan. So a great season so far. Long may it continue, but they've done nothing yet. So, hopefully a win tonight against those Panthers, and the train keeps on rolling on. But back to Burton's boys. You can see there in the top left, an overall rank of 497. Super stoked, super pleased with this. Going right so far. A little bit of money up the bank. Had 9 trades going into this round. I've made a couple that we'll get into later on. So I think everything's looking pretty healthy. But we all know the fantasy roller coaster. There's ups and downs, and I've certainly had my fair share of lowlights. And we're just going to get into that. A wee deep dive into my team, the journey so far, and how I've got to where I am and the team that's sitting in front of you now. So let's jump over and have a look at the journey. Starting with rounds 1 and 2. Look, I'll be honest. I'm a straight shooter. I've been a serial trader in the past, and it's really burnt me the back end of seasons, relying on players to stay healthy, no suspensions, no HIAs, for those ranks to stay in the upward motion. And that's just not reality. So I've probably got burnt last year, and that's been a major focus going into this year, is up front when you can, save those trades. So I was really stoked with my start. As a result, though, late to the party on Humphreys a little bit. Picked him up round 3 after a couple of massive scores, running the cutter there for the Bunnies. But I still got 150k out of him, which is our goal. 130, 150k. That's what you're after when you're making those trades. So I can't complain. Likewise, Haas missed out on those massive scores at the start. Picked him up. Not unhappy. That's just the way the fantasy world goes. You win some, you lose some. Got off to an alright start without him, so it proves that you don't need every gun or every player that everyone else has just to stay with him. Docker Clay, the first low light or the first bludger. Connor Watson went down, concussed, failed his test, and Docker Clay had a little bit of success, couple 40s back to back, that 300k mark. And I just hope that the Roosters sort of wrapped him up in cotton wool there and looked after him like they've done in the past with players with HIA and consecutive HIAs. Fortunately for me, it wasn't to be, so the first roll of the dice of the season blew up in my face. Got a 60 that round, helped with the ranks, but back to the bench and getting 10 minutes the first week, and some weeks not playing at all. So he was very quickly a trade out and a failed experiment. Another one of those ones that you sort of got to just roll with the punches is a trade out in round 5, Metcalf. If you've still sat on him, a massive well done to you, sitting around that 700k mark, and probably a good flick heading into the Warriors final bye coming up. But yeah, that's a massive hold. So many of us jumped off early doors. And look, scoring tries weekly, not usually the Sevens role, but that's his game, and attacking footy, he's off the cuff. So full credit to him. Good to see the Wars travelling well too as a Kiwi. Round 6, brought in a couple of the Dragons boys, and again, a little bit late to the party, but couple of things front of mind for me this year. 1, saving trades where I can, and 2, just taking that extra week or 2 just to make sure guys are the right options. Because being a serial trader and just jumping the gun too early on guys has really burnt me in a couple of seasons in the past. So I'd like to think early doors I'd learnt from my mistakes, and that's possibly why I'm at where I am 16 rounds into the competition. Built that foundation of success, was looking pretty good, and then I thought, well, you can't stay with the pack forever, and round 7's early doors, but I went to a certified gun in seasons gone by in Teddy and jumped on him early doors. He was on the radar for Origin period, with Edwards most likely to retain that spot, and he's been great guns ever since. Probably an average of 55, 58 since round 7 for me. Fantastic. KPP likewise, fantastic, solid average of 55 since picking him up, and just been riding him this whole way. A wee pod there in the back row. Vimoga, at this point it was one or the other for the young guns and the Warriors, and this really was a pod. Not many guys jumping on the train here, but I like what I saw from him. Big body, athletic, attacking, offloads. And thankfully, after a couple of scores, he fell flat a little bit and I was nervous. A big hold for me. Usually I'd flick him, but again, rewarded this season with 340s in a row now and looking to make that 150k. So now when I can flick him, round 18, next week, Warriors have the bye. He's done his job. Happy with that result. Round 8 brought on the fork in the road, I guess. Katoa or Fogarty for those that didn't have either. And thankfully for myself, picked up the right one. Going great guns, what a young half he is. A real stud, a future star of the game. And just will ride him for as long as I can. Sharp another, possibly late to the party a little bit, but has done a superb job before his unfortunate injury last week. Chip and chase and land on your own elbow, causing that much damage is just unfortunate and a sad story. Hopefully he gets back on the field later parts of this season. Savala sort of speaks for himself there. Lucas, staying with the pack, probably a third wee goal of mine. Too many pods in years gone by, too early. So that's just staying with the pack. Had to get him in after the injury. Tarpany, much the same. A pack play, maybe a round or 2 early. Round 12 was the target, but thankfully paid off. And still going strong. Tavanga, one of those wee pods. Like what I saw, Seabold playing him at hooker was a real stinker, but thankfully the roll of the dice come good after Gerbo's head knock there. And again, hitting that 150k mark. So when he needs to go, come round 19 with that last Manly bye, he's done his job for the team. King Togia, look, went with the pack, another pack play, and sometimes it's just the safety of the pack and we fail together. So still got him, but will be gone sooner rather than later, I imagine. It's coming off a 40 odd, so hopefully he can get a couple high 30s back to back and make us a little bit of coin there. Biggest bludger of the season so far. Panic Stations, it was sort of the old Frosty come out and panic. There's a back row injury, and looking at the stats, most of the top 1,000 had the injured back rower, and Hoskin was the play in the chat round the podcasts and the NRL fantasy scene. And yeah, just panicked. Needed him in my mind. If he went 60s or 70s and made that cash at 590k, I was going to miss the boat. And so just panicked, wanted to stay with the pack. And as you can see, 2 rounds later, just didn't like what I was seeing and gave him the early flick, which ended up beneficial. I know a lot stayed with him, but the early flick to Kolomatangi, so I wrote that wrong. But 3 to 4 trades on one player in a season is just a cardinal sin. Thankfully for me, it's just about my only one so far. So I have learned from the past mistakes, and that's key come fantasy. Stewart, late to the party, probably the one all season where I was late to the party and it has sort of cost me. And those things just happen. Sometimes you just got to roll with those punches. So not unhappy. I thought he was going to be 500k and 45 plus average to the end of the season on my bench. Wasn't to be. So it's just one of those losses that you're happy to roll with. Lawson. Yeah, look, this point in the season, I think some of the old Frosty started trying to come out. You know, I'd been a new me, I'd changed, I'd learned from my mistakes 10, 11 rounds in, but yeah, the old ghost tried to come out of the closet, and a couple of mistakes slipped up here with Hoskin and Stewart and Lawson another. I thought he had a bit of job security, but just stunk it up, a 20 and a 15, and absolutely nothing there. Now dropped, so looking to be flipped this week. A massive play here, probably my biggest one of the season. Flicking Cleary, not even at the start of the Origin, midway through, but yeah, missing the major bye, not backing up with the trip to Auckland for the Panthers, missing 18, 3 of the next 4. I just thought maybe try get in a cut price keeper for the rest of the season. And I went Jolliffe, Tallis Duncan, probably the play for the pack, but this was my real pod play so far, I think, of the season. And Tallis Duncan won the first round, but Jolliffe with a 68 last round won the second round. So they're sort of tied at the moment, and he's looking like he's going to make a bit of coin for me over these coming weeks if he can keep up that 50 sort of average. Vaimunga done his job, Drinkwater in, and he stung a few of us. Out of necessity, the plan was round 18, but injuries and suspensions happen, and yeah, was dictated to a little bit. Had to bring him in early, and unfortunately, 2 stinkers, and he's lost 100k in 2 weeks. So not what I was after, not what we were after there with that play, but again, a little bit with the pack, so we can sort of smile knowing we're a little bit with the pack there, and it's not as much damage as a pod play. Hughes in for Stewart. Stewart had to go, failed experiment, as I just said before. Hughes in, and much like the guy looking to bring in this round, just a known gun over seasons gone by. If he can get back to anything close to that form, 576k is an absolute steal, and just hoping and praying that he gets back on that wagon, gets out those 50 pluses. The odd 40 chucked in won't be a nightmare, but those 20s and 30s will be the ones that hurt. And then we're this week into round 17 and round 18 for myself. The top 500 is certainly on the radar. So Sharp, as I said, that unfortunate injury has gone for a wee while. So Kraz, again, probably a pack play. Safety first, and as a Dogs fan, hey, more than happy to get one of those guys in the team. Underrepresented at the moment so far this season. So hoping he goes big tonight against the Panthers and can roll on from that. And Reece Walsh, again, 18 in mind and 19. He's bottomed out, and if he can get back to anything like his form, we know that 700k player, 200k undervalued. And he's shown glimpses the last couple of weeks, so hopefully I've timed it just right with him. But that's where I'm sitting, team. That's Burton's boys, and that's me, Frosty. And looking forward to ripping in. We'll be doing something Tuesday night out on Wednesdays after Stevo has his episode out, and you see him, meet his team, and see his wee backstory so far this season. We'll be ripping in with those teamless Tuesdays and something out Wednesdays for you. Hopefully well under that hour mark. So really looking forward to it. Thanks for your time there, team. And roll on the doggies, eh? Dogs by 4 tonight. Go well, boys.